What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the final episode of Resident Evil's Netflix series. This one is called Revelations, which I think is a little Easter egg to the two games, Revelations 1 and 2. We start things off in the not-so-distant past where Jade and Rita are inside their laboratory, inspecting a reptile that they are attempting to mind control before flashing to the present and seeing just what those experiments led to. It's a giant alligator. It is a massive mind-controlled giant alligator. Actual past, though, Billy and Jade have been taken to their house to pack a single bag. No games, no drama. Evelyn and Bert, they're walking around inside the Umbrella facility. She's using her normal tactics of manipulation, saying that the girls are safe. They're eating ice cream, Rocky Road ice cream. It's their favorite, just like his favorite. And Bert's willing to help her complete her final project because she's manipulated him for so long. He falls for all this. The final project? The T-002 Tyrant. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the bad boy from the original. Big Tyrant, big old claw on one hand. You know how that man got down, but the heart's outside of the chest, so he's a little bit vulnerable there. So we'll worry about that when the time might come. We snap back to the house where Billy and Jade are having a bit of a breakdown about everything they've just found out. Their dad's a psycho. His boss is a Cruella de Vil type bitch. Everyone is lying about everything. When Billy starts to question whether she is okay or not, Jade asks if she's good, then wants them to formulate a plan on getting out of town and away from everybody else. And that's what you can see right there. They're just talking to each other. This is where Jade distracts the head of security downstairs with the dog. Billy goes to get that duffel bag from under the piano. Their heart is racing. She kind of has a little bit of a moment where the tinnitus comes back. She's pounding, her heart's pounding through the roof. What they get the bag though, and they break out of the house. They're jumping out over the fence and they're immediately caught. Umbrella's waiting for them. I mean, it is like they knew what was about to happen. Billy tackles their would-be captor, tries to send Jade away. Jade doesn't want to leave at first, but as backup starts to arrive, Billy tackles him again. The backup gets there just in time to detain Billy, but Jade is getting away scot-free at this point. We go back to the past, or to the present, though, and Billy seeing all these Zeros close in on the camp, and we get one of the coolest things to happen. Billy's face becomes very calm, very placid, and she summons 3 drones that encircle her and just start laying waste to all these Zeros, just shooting them down and dead. Soldiers, Zeros. Jade and Billy are the only 2 people safe, it seems like. I mean, shoo, it'd be nuts to be there because they were raining down a hella gunfire right there, and they were just laying waste to all these Zeros. Jade is taken off, though, trying to get back to the boat when Arjun sees her coming down the dock. She's still covered in the pheromone that makes Zeros repelled from her, so nobody's attacking her on the way to this boat. Arjun sees her coming down the dock and throws a rope out to save her, pulls her into safety, though, and that is what really sets her apart. As she gets back on this boat, she's really heroic in this moment because she immediately continues to think about everybody at the university. She says, look, if Umbrella gets one helicopter in the air, they're all dead. So we've got to let that bad boy loose. Let that giant alligator loose. It takes 2 keys to turn at the same time. So 2 people to turn 2 keys at the same time. And then you got to hit a big red button. And what happens when you hit that big red button? Well, you unlock and unchain a gigantic reptilian below the surface. I believe it's an alligator. It looks like a giant alligator. It might be a crocodile. I don't know. I'm not an expert on the 2 of them. But it's a giant alligator below the surface. That's what I'm going with. Eyeball wakes up. Bad boy is awake and alive, and he's about to wreak havoc on God and everybody on that shore. We go back to the past, though, and Billy is brought before Evelyn and told how the dog bit her. And Billy protests and says she's fine. Evelyn tells her and follows up with all her own symptoms to make her doubt herself. Billy asks how she can trust her. Evelyn tells her that she's the only one that's never lied to her. And can she say that about even her own father? Even though she is evil, even though she has been pretty cold to her, she's the only one that's ever told her the complete truth from the beginning since meeting her. And Billy resigns herself to her sickness and asks if she can be helped. We cut to Simon, though, where her mother is cooking again, and it's a really weird moment because it's super late at night. Dinner's clearly already been made, eaten, and now we're making dinner again. And Simon realizes that she is clearly under the influence of some kind of drug before Jade comes to the door with their dog, the family dog, in hand and tow. And Jade goes out to the pool with Simon, explains everything to him. Simon, He's doubtful, says how crazy everything sounds, and he has a ton of doubt about it. And then Jade says something about joy, the drug, and Simon realizes that she may be telling the truth because that's what his mother is under the influence of. Cut back to the lab where Billy's blood is being tested, and she starts to convulse a little bit. She's having a little bit of a tough time with these tests that Evelyn's going to put her through when Simon interrupts these tests by calling his mother and getting her on the phone. And that's what we see here. I actually want to point out, I love the carpet in that shot because it looks like the Umbrella Corporation logo, but disjointed because everybody's image of this perfect corporation is starting to become a little disjointed in the show. So I like that it mirrors that. I think that's a nice little touch by the showrunners. Simon confronts her about Joy, how his other mom damn near cut her finger off, didn't even react to it. Simon is reasonably angered. Evelyn says how she did what she had to keep the family together, that no one understands how hard she works, that his other mother wanted to take him away from her. She did all this for him, everything for her child. And Simon just hits her with the old fuck you and hangs up on her and resigns himself to help Jade get to the lab at this point. We cut to Billy in the lab, though. Just one more test, and as Billy asks what the scientist is giving her, she protests but is injected anyway, and that's when she really convulses and really starts to have a really horrific experience with these tests and with these drugs they keep pumping her full of. And we go back to the present, where Billy is reveling in her greatest weapon, her great creation, and as an operatic song plays, she gleefully watches as her weapon strike down every living thing in her vicinity, living or dead, I should say. Nothing even gets close to her. She's completely inside a ring of death, a ring of gunfire before being left all by herself and feeling the rumble of the giant alligator coming up out of the water. The gator is going to begin to give chase, though, to Billy, and this is where things get interesting because Billy's going to take off knowing that the drones might not have the firepower necessary, and Jade returns to her room to find that B did exactly as she told. She took the bag and she boogied out. Arjun didn't want to go. Oh, well, mommy told me to get on this boat with this duffel bag and get the hell out of Dodge, and that's exactly what she did. Jade and Simon break into Umbrella, and for once in her life, Jade seems to genuinely thank somebody for their help. Billy's still convulsing. Evelyn comes back to find this scene of craziness. Billy gets the upper hand on the scientist testing her, rolls over onto him, and then stabs him in the eye with a syringe. Unbelievably cringy moment for me because, oh God, I can't imagine eye pain. Billy then slashes Evelyn's face with the same needle. Billy goes into a bit of a fever dream, chased down by the dog yet again, hears sirens, sees those red lights, surrounded by her worst nightmares before she's confronted by Bert, of all people, and trying to calm her down with an old technique Albert taught them about putting their hands above their head, taking deep breath. Bert says all Albert's ever cared about is his daughters, and that he might not be right or good in how he went about things, but he could have been much worse, that no one's really good in this world. No one's ever really okay in this world. Everybody's just trying to do their best when it would be much easier to just do their worst. We cut to Albert, though, who is staring at another needle of blood, getting ready to inject himself, when the door opens and it's Jade and Simon coming into the room. Not to save him, but to save Billy. Albert wants to go find her. Jade says that he can't go with them, and the door swings open again, but this time it's Billy and Bert. And when they go to leave after a nice little moment where Billy says they have to take Albert because they can't leave him here, Simon's watch goes off and the 10-minute window they had is up and the facility begins to go on lockdown. And I love the fact that when the facility goes on lockdown, it's the same color scheme as when Billy starts to have her fever dreams because it shows just how evil this entire corporation is. Excuse me twice there. I had to sneeze. Sorry, wasn't about to make you hear that. But we cut back to the present as they're getting locked down. Billy is running from the alligator. The drones are engaging it, using every bit of ammo they have to unload on it. A helicopter is up in the sky, and Billy throws a fragmentation grenade at the alligator. When it blows up, the alligator's tail goes spinning off into the sky, knocks that bad boy back into the water, and we see Jade and Arjun on their own boat looking for B. She's blaming herself again. She's worried about her daughter. And when they spot the boat that she took off in the distance, they move toward it. The alligator's tail comes up out of the water and swings down and completely crushes this small vessel. During the lockdown, though, because we cut back to the past, the tyrant wakes up and begins pounding on the glass to try to get out of its captivity. The group of Jade, Billy, Simon, Bert, and Albert are getting cornered into two rooms by security looking for him. Billy still suffering effects, having fever dreams. Evelyn is now on the hunt rather than on the search for these girls. Billy sees red. She sees the dog. She pushes Jade away from her when Jade comes to check on her. Simon comes in to try to break it up, and when he tries to go to restrain Billy, she bites his arm and takes a chunk out of it. They scream, and Simon's scream is heard by security, so security immediately just comes down on everybody and says, you know what, look, we got you cornered now. Evelyn sees that Simon's been bit, sent into shock by it. Albert comes out of the other room, swears that he can fix Simon, help him, but they have to let the girls go. And Evelyn does one of the most crazy things we've seen thus far on the show. She shoots her son right between the eyes, puts him right down like a rabid dog, and kills her own child. A skirmish breaks out. Everyone breaks away to escape, going basically their separate ways at this point. The security team in one direction, Albert, Bert, and the two girls in the different direction. We go back to the present, though, where Jade wakes up on the beach looking for Arjun, finds him prone near her, and goes to wake him up, praying he didn't drown. He wakes up, looks around, has a big gash in his leg, probably a broken leg as well. Jade lays a jacket over him before Arjun forces her to go look for B. Billy is making one last mad dash for the only other helicopter in the area. She boards it. They get airborne just before being crushed by the alligator. B sees it fly overhead and goes to hide behind a bush. Suddenly, she feels the rumble of the earth and realizes that she's being chased by the giant alligator now. Running as fast as she can, she trips, she falls, she screams. The gator's closing in. Things get real tense, and then the gator gets docile, lays down next to her. And B knows that she's safe for a moment. She gets up to try to pet this bad boy like it's a family pet, like it's a little dog, and right before she gets to pet it, a couple missiles come flying out of the sky, and bang, bang, bong, that gator is dead, and B has to run away. She starts to retreat because now her only protection is gone. The giant alligator is dead. The helicopter killed it with a couple of missiles. It's laying on the ground, its guts spilling out all over the place. B runs away and ends up finding and running into her mother, who's also looking for her. She asks where Arjun is before being interrupted by a small squad of Umbrella soldiers and Billy. Some chit-chat ensues. Billy unleashes all her pent-up anger at Jade before shooting her once right in the stomach, having her guards snatch B away. Jade goes to pull the gun again. Billy steps on her hand and tears the gun away from her. And Jade is kind of left there helpless. There's nothing that she can do. We cut back to the past. Albert and Bert are trying to help the girls escape, being slowly cornered by security. Bert and Albert go to make a bomb in the laboratory. Albert tells Bert to get them somewhere safe because someone must set the bomb off. Billy doesn't want her dad to sacrifice himself, but Albert's okay with it. He tells his girls he loves them both. Jade tears up for a moment and apologizes to her father before Bert steps in and says Albert doesn't have to do this, that he's going to set the bomb off and detonate it. But Albert shoots him down and says, hey, look, you deserve a life just like I got a life. You were locked up 17 years. I wasn't. He writes his girls a note about who to go look for, and then basically tells Bert to get out of Dodge because Albert's going to detonate the bomb. There's one last sweet Wesker family hug between the two girls and Albert. Bert even puts his hand on his shoulder. When Evelyn breaks in, clearly frantic, shoots Albert twice. She swears she was protecting Simon from becoming a monster. When this is over, all of it, everything is sacrificed. She will change this world. She has the future and asks what he has. And he makes a quip that all he's got is a pen. And that pen, it's a lighter as well. Lights that bad boy up, sets off the bomb. Evelyn runs to an airtight container, saves herself from the explosion. All the guards, all of Albert, looks like they're caught up inside of this explosion. And we cut to the present where Jade's laying on the ground bleeding. She's reaching for her gun to stand up. We cut back to the past. Fire trucks headed for the lab. The girls waiting on Bert to come with a vehicle to get them. Billy says she doesn't mean to hurt Jade or Simon. She apologizes. Jade is cold. She's shocked. She's staring off into the distance. She doesn't respond. Billy goes to take her hand, and Jade is clearly having none of it. Billy looks for reassurance, saying, you and me, right? And Jade can't even look her own sister in the eye and just repeats the words back to her when Bert arrives in a truck to pick them up. In the present, Jade rolls over in time to see the helicopter fly overhead. She looks resolved to maybe even save her daughter, setting up what is going to happen probably next season if it's renewed. And we cut back to the past. Search and rescue squads are carting Evelyn out of the lab, and from below the rubble, we see the tyrant hand emerge. Just bam, straight up through that rubble. Like, I'm not dead yet. The person they must look for is Ada Wong. That's what was written on the note to Billy and Jade. And that's another Easter egg. Ada Wong, very famous character from the game series and from the books. And we get the final shot. They're leaving New Raccoon City. Thanks for visiting the New Raccoon City, an umbrella community. Billy is asleep on Jade's shoulder, and as they leave town, Billy kind of leans off to the other side, still asleep, just kind of rolling over. Jade's staring at her, unsure how to feel after everything that's unfolded, after everything that Billy caused, after everything Jade caused. There's a moment in the final confrontation in the present between Jade and Billy that I absolutely loved, where Jade says, "That might have been the worst night of your life, but it was the best night of my life. The tea didn't change me. It just let me be who I really was the whole time." And Billy's just letting Jade have it in that conversation. I love that the show is aware enough to have, even at this point, the villain, Billy, telling Jade, it's always been about you. You're selfish. You do everything for yourself. You don't care about anybody else. It's the Jade show. They had one of the hardest protagonists to root for. And you start to root for Albert, who, even though you know he's a bad guy, he hasn't made the best decisions. You don't really ever root for Evelyn, but you even root for Billy a little bit at times because Billy's surrounded. She's been set forth upon a bunch of zeros by her own sister, and she finds a way out of that. She finds a way away from the giant alligator. Like, it's weird that this entire first season, you don't really ever root for Jade. Maybe a little bit here and there, but she's clearly just selfish. She clearly only cares about herself. It takes basically losing everyone and everything for her to wake up even in the slightest. Final episode, a lot of Easter eggs, great pacing, beautiful shots at the end. I'd recommend watching this series in total. It's a good entertainment watch. Yes, it strays from a lot of the canon Resident Evil stuff. It makes a lot of swaps that people may or may not like. I took it for face value, and I enjoyed pretty much the entire series. I'm giving the final episode, I'm going to say a 3.5, maybe closer to a 4 because of those final few sequences, the cutting back and forth. They did that beautifully throughout the entire series. So overall, I give the entire season 1, I'm going to say 3.75 out of 5. I'd recommend it to people, whether you're a fan of Resident Evil or not. It's a good entertainment watch. If you like Resident Evil, there's plenty of Easter eggs for you to smile about. But that's it for this series. The Resident Evil Netflix series, completely reviewed, completely summarized for your viewing pleasure. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you wish. I appreciate each and every one of you each time you join me here. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, week, month, year. If you never come back, rest of your life, whatever it may be. But I'm Colin the Crow Clark, and I hope you keep coming back for more Resident Evil and more content.